Hi, what's going on guys? Welcome back to my channel. So in this video we're going to create a form and we're going to create validations with React Hook Form and Zod. Zod is a pretty new library for handling schema validations, for creating schemas basically. So if you go to the Zod docs, you can see here TypeScript-first schema validation with static type inference. So as I heard, Zod support TypeScript very well, so I decided why not to try it and create this pretty simple form to test it. And of course, we're going to integrate it with React Hook Form, which is at the moment the best form management library. So we're going to use the React Hook Form library, and everything will be connected with Material UI. So you will learn how to integrate React Hook Form with components UI libraries like Material UI. So let's go back to the form and let me show you some validations that we have. So if I click on submit, let's see that I already have all the validations not passed. So basically you can see all the errors that I wrote here. There are some there are also some custom validations that you will see in a moment. But first let's go through the simple ones. So you can see that name over here. So let's write test. And you can see in real time the error is gone. If I delete it and make it one character, the error is updated in real time. So let's say test. The email is going to be like this. Password is going to be 12345. Now let's create, for example, a password that is not matching. So 12345 6. Now when I will submit this form one more time, if I clear all these basic errors, you will see the custom errors that I made. So one of the custom errors is to check if the password is going to be equals to the confirm password. Another custom error is I'm checking if the user is under 18 years old. So this one is pretty cool. So I hope you like this one. And gender. So gender, I think it's also a simple one, so it should go away. And we have this accept terms and conditions that I'm still not getting error. So only when I clear all the simple errors, I will go Zod form will check the custom errors, which is something that I didn't like much. I wished like it would check these custom errors with the simple errors, but anyway, you will see that this library is very cool. All right, now let's set the age. So let's say that my age that I was born, I don't know, 1 and 3, for example. So this user should be older than 18 years old. Now let's accept this form, submit this form. Now you can see that I'm getting the more custom validations, the more complex one that I made. So first of all, I'm checking that the user sending true for accept terms and conditions. So I need to check this checkbox, and now this error is gone. And for the confirm password, passwords do not match. There is also something custom that I'm checking the password with the confirm password. So let's delete this one. And now let's try to add a user that is younger than 18 years old. So let's say 2010. And now look at this arrow. Have to be at least 18 years old. So when I submit, it's not going to submit. And let's change it to, I don't know, 2000. And there is also the thing over here that you can choose it like with a calendar and stuff, but it's just faster to type. This is why I'm doing this. This is, by the way, a Material UI component, of course. So let's submit this form one more time. Now everything should pass. So when I submit and everything worked, I'm seeing this this alert with all the info that I submitted. And look at something interesting. You can see the birthday is actually transformed to a date. So this is something cool. You will also see how you can transform that data with Zod. And for terms and conditions, you see that I'm sending true over here. So basically, I'm checking if only if the user is sending a true value. So if I remove this, I cannot submit. All right, this was the little demo, and I'm going to create a new repository now. We're going to make this project from scratch. So let's start coding. Now let's first initialize the Vite project. So let's search for Vite, and let's search for the command to initialize a Vite project. So getting started, and we're going to use pnpm to make it run a little bit faster. Okay, project name, I don't want a project name, and I want it to be React project with TypeScript. So now we can open the code editor, so code. All right, so this is the folder structure, very basic one. Let's already delete all the CSS files. So delete this one, and basically that's it. So get rid of them. Let's get rid of everything over here. So select everything and export default function. All right, so this one is going to be for now, let's say just div and hi. And now let's do the pnpm install. So let's open a new terminal here and let's run pnpm install to install all the packages that we downloaded. All right, cool. Let's check what we have inside the main. So first of all, let's get rid of this strict mode that I don't care about. And why is it complaining? Oh, yeah, so I forgot to type here return. So let's do return div. Right, we can run this project already. So no, you know what? First, let's install all the dependencies that we need for our project. Okay, so first let's go to the docs and let's go to, let's begin with material UI. So installation. Yeah, so we can copy, yeah, they don't have a pnpm, but anyway, default installation. So we're going to use this thing over here and let's make it pnpm install. Let's check the package JSON. Okay, in the meanwhile, oh, so it's installed already. So emotion React, emotion style, material MUI material. This is fine. Do we need anything else over here? Do we need the font? Yeah, I suppose we could get it. So let's get the font. The next thing that I want to install is Zod. So let's see the installation. Installation. Let's do pnpm and Zod. Now let's install React hook form. So get started. Quick start. npm. Oh, okay. Do this thing. Pnpm install React hook form. And I think we also need the React hook form schema validator. So I will check how it's called. Yeah, so this one is called resolver something. So let's say pnpm install and hook form resolvers. Great. So I think this is all the packages that we need. Let's run the project. pnpm run there. And great, our project is running. Let's go to Firefox. And let's go to localhost 5173. So we have an arrow here, index CSS. So let's go back to the project main and let's remove this import over here. And now it should be fine. And great, we have hi. Okay, so now I want to actually go one time to my finished project and I just want to get the app file So actually, I just want this JSX because there is just some basic styling with material UI to place everything kind of in the center. So let's get this thing over here and let's go to our app TSX and let's return this stuff. Cool. So now we have to do some imports. So let's import the box and not auto importing. And I'm too lazy to do it. So let's copy all this stuff for material UI. Reload the window so all the errors will go. And what we don't have for now is we don't have this component. So let's comment this and let's comment also this thing. And let's check our project. All right, cool. So we have the header and we got some basic styling. So now we can create our folder, registration form, and let's create our component over there. So let's create a folder here and let's call it registration form, registration form. Cool. Now let's create over here index.tsx file and let's create a schema file, schema.ts. Now let's export default function. So let's don't forget to return and let's say leave registration. Right, let's go back all this stuff and let's uncomment this thing. Now we should have our div with registration. Nice. Okay, so first of all, I think that I should start with the schema. So I'll teach you a little bit about the basic schema validation. So if we go to Zod, I have actually examples for everything here. And what I did to create the schema is just to go through these docs and check the syntax. So basically, let's let's go to basic usage. I just want to see, to show you like what is going on. So basic usage, we get Z from Zod and we define a schema with this Z thing. So let's go to our schema. So we can close all these files. Let's go to schema. Let's actually copy this import. And now let's look at what we have. So const my schema is z.string. So this is an example, but we don't need a string, we need an object. So what we can do is we can say const, I don't know, registration schema, for example, is going to be z.object. Great. Now we have a validation schema with Zod, and this is going to be an object. So here we have the object example, so we can define fields inside our schema. So for example, here we have username, but in our case, I think we're going to have a name. So let's say here name, and this one is going to be z.string, and we're going to use it as a function like this. And we have our first validation field. So name is supposed to be a string. Now I want to show you how we can use this validation schema to get a TypeScript file out of it. So what we have here, you can say extract the inferred type. So this is something really cool. So we can have a type. Let's copy this thing. So we have here a type of user and it's going to infer type of user. But in our case, of course, it's not going to be type of user. It's going to be type of registration schema. Registration schema. Why it's so difficult to write this, I'm not sure. Anyway, we're going to use our schema and refer it. So z.infer type of. So I'm inferring my registration schema. So I see that we have a typo here, so let's try to fix this one. Registration. Nice. So what I want to do is I want to export both of these things. So export. So we're going to have these values in our index.tsx. So let's export the type as well. And now let's start to write our schema, basically. So we need to define all our schema inside this object. Okay, so of course I'm not going to write everything, but I will just paste it from the finished project, and we'll go through all the simple fields. So let's save this thing and let's see. So we have a name, so it's going to be z.string, and it's going to be a minimum of 2. And now I can actually define a custom message if this minimum is going to fail. So I can open an object here with message, and I can say that the name has to be at least 2 characters. So you can see that this thing over here goes inside the min function. And in the email, we have a special thing in Zod, so just email, and this is going to check if this is a valid email. So I suppose it does it with regex or something. So the message here that I supplied, not a valid email. Next, we have a password. So password should be a string, and the minimum here should be 5. And I supply this message, password has to be at least 5 characters. Confirm password is the same. Confirm password has to be at least 5 characters. Birthday is a string. And I'm using something here that is called transform. So I'm going to get this value from the user. So I have a callback function here with value, and I can transform and return a new value. So basically, I'm returning a new date with the value. So you will see the value for how the format of the value is supplied with the material UI component. We will console log it later, and you will see how it's transformed to an actual new date. And we have a gender, which is going to be a string. And here, and for some strange reason, I couldn't define a message for a string error. So I'm using here an object which have an error map. So basically this error map is going to return a function, and it's going to and I'm just returning a message of you have to select a gender. So basically let me actually show you this error map thing. I hope I can find it in the docs. So let's maybe search for error map. Do we have a search over here? I think yeah, this is not cool. So how can I find it? Error, uh, error handling, error formatting. Maybe it's something like this. So what do we have here? Uh, Error. No, this is not it. Error formatting. This is also not it. Right, so unfortunately I couldn't find it in the first glance. So I'll just show you in the VS Code itself. So we can see over here that string can have a params object that is typed like this. So look at this, we have error map, which is optional, and we can supply error map, which is a z.zod error map. And this is basically it. Let's try to maybe go to this string thing, and you can see that error map can be a Zod error map or undefined. And let's go maybe to here. So we have issue and context, and it basically function that is returning an object with a message string. So this is exactly what we did over here. So we return a function with an object and inside it we have a message string. So this is how I'm defining this error for this string over here. Okay, we have our basic schema. I'm not going to write the advanced fields at the moment, but let's go to our index.tsx file and let's work a little bit on our form itself. Alright, so we have some imports over here. Now, what we should actually return is a form. So let's change this div to a form. And now I want to paste the onSubmit function that we're going to use when the form is submitted. So the onSubmit is pretty straightforward. It's just going to take the values as a registration schema type. So we can actually use this type now, and you can see that all the things that we defined in our schema are now inferred in this TypeScript type. So this is very convenient, and you can see over here name is string, birthday date, gender, everything is very well typed and very well documented, and I really was impressed by that. So now what we need to do is we need to integrate React Hook Form. So let's go to React Hook Form docs, and I want to have an example for. So first of all, I want to show you the basic register fields. So what we need from React Hook Form is that we have this useForm hook, and you can see from here they are getting register and handle submit. So I can copy this. Actually, I don't actually need the register, but I will delete it in a moment. So let's paste it over here. We don't need this register, but the handle submit is what actually going to be run when the form is submitted. So let's actually connect our form to this handle submit. So what we can do, we can say on submit. So on submit, we're going to use this handle submit from the used form. And what we're going to do here is this handle submit is going to pass me all the values that the form is holding. So basically, the used form is managing all the form. You will see in a moment how we register fields to it. But after I'm submitting with handle submit, it will pass all the fields, and I want to pass all my fields to my onSubmit function. So I'm going to take this onSubmit and put it over here. And now, of course, it is going to complain because we are supported with TypeScript here, and it is saying that it's missing fields. So so my form is missing fields. So I want to get like all these registration fields, and I'm not getting anything. So I don't have name, email, password, confirmed password, and 3 more is missing. So now what we need to do is to register our form fields to the use form. So in the simple example over here, what they do is they use this register function, and they just using plain HTML elements. So this way they can just register and register with the name of the field. So for example, this thing is going to be first name, gender, yeah, and so on. So in our case, what the example that I'm looking for is integration with UI libraries. So to integrate React Hook Form with Serial UI, we need to use this example. So let's look at this. In this example, we need to import something that is called controller, which I think we're already doing. And in the use form, I'm importing something that is called control. So let's import this control over here. So with handle submit, we also have control. And now look at this example. So we wrap our material UI component with controller, and we specify the name, which is the key that is going to be registered. So again, you can see that they use first name. So it will register first name to the form, and the control is passed like this from this useForm function. and render is what actually renders the element. So in their case, they are rendering input and they passing the field, which is coming from here, from the function itself. So let's check an example in our code. First of all, I want to wrap it with a box, so it will be styled a little bit. So let's close this box over here. Now let's use our controller. So we have all the imports, so we can see that we already importing the controller. We're importing the control over here. So now let's paste a controller for a name field. So let's ignore the errors for a moment. So we have here a controller that is wrapping a text field that is coming from Material UI. And the name of it is going to be name. So we're registering, so we basically registered a name field to our useForm. And here we are rendering the text field, okay, that is coming from the Material UI. So we have here errors which we also can get from the useForm. So I think what it should be is form context, I think, form state. What else do we have here? And maybe the errors should be here. So errors, yeah, great. All right, so we still have error for helper text, but I think as soon as we define our default fields for useForm and we define what schema it should use, it should actually be fixed. So another thing that we can do now, that we should do now, is to define our options over here. So here are the options that we can use over here. So let's see. First of all, mode, I want to change it to all. So basically the validation will run on all actions. So let's look at the options one more time. So we have on blue, on change, on submit, on touched. I want to do it for all. And let's define our default fields, default values basically, and our form validation. So let's look at the default values. So first of all, we have all the values over here. This is the default ones, and this is the resolver. So basically, I'm going to use Zod resolver, which is coming from hook form resolvers/Zod, and we're going to use here the registration schema that we created in our schema. So now, this form is going to use our schema and it's going to run the Zod resolver. So let's save this file, and now this error is gone. And now the only thing is we need to define all the controllers and all the fields in our form itself. Right, so let's paste all the fields and let's go through all of them. So there are, do we have some errors here? That should be outside of the box. So let's take this thing, we don't need this, and the button should be here. And now I want to see, do we still have error? All right, so I pasted all the fields, but we still have some issue with the on submit. So let's look at this error first. So we have issue with the birthday because it says that birthday types of property birthday are incompatible. Type undefined is not assignable to type date. Okay, so I think that when we will write our custom advanced validations, this error should be fixed. But let's look now at basically all the fields that I added, and you will see how they all repeating itself and everything is pretty much the same, so it will sync with your memory. So we saw the name controller over here, and here we have the email controller, which is pretty much the same. So we define a name, which is email. So we register the field. we pass the controller, and we have the render function that takes the field, and it renders the material UI component text field. Here we supply the error, which is errors.email. So you can see here all the possible errors that we could have. And again, we have some basic stuff like label, type, variant, stuff like that. Helper text is actually the text, the component that displays the error beneath the text field. So yeah, so we're just passing the errors.email.message to this helper text. Now we have the password, which is the same, confirm password, which is the same. Just the only difference is the type here is password. The controller for birthday, which is going to render a fragment. So this component is going to render a fragment, which is going to have input label, which is going to say age, the text field, which is going to be type of date. The next one is gender. Gender is going to be a select field. So you can see here we have form control, and we have input label of gender. And in the select, we just specify the menu items. So male, female, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And the last one is terms and conditions, which is going to be a checkbox. So here we render form control and form control label. And here we have a control, which is a checkbox. And yeah, so again, pretty much similar to the others. All of this is just Material UI components. And in the docs of Material UI, you can just go to components, and you have here all the fields that I basically used. So select, checkbox, and the text field, and so on. So if you go to checkbox and you want to check some code for this, so for example, basic checkbox, you can click here on show the full source, and you can see here the checkbox. And for example, checkbox with label, checkbox, some different stuff, controlled. So yeah, so for example, checkbox with label, they wrap it with form group, and form control label, they pass a control with the checkbox. So this is pretty much exactly what we did over here. Alright, so the only thing left is to write our custom validations for the schema. So what we're going to be using to write these validations is something called super refine. So super refine is basically allowing us to write anything that we want. So you can see here in this example, they use super refine with value and context, and they use it on a array and the array of strings, I guess. So what they're checking here is if the value is bigger than 3. So if it's true, they're going to add an issue, and it's going to be to have a code and maximum. I'm not sure what is specified here, but yeah, they specify also the type and is inclusive and the message. So I think I didn't specify all this stuff over here. I just made a custom code, and the thing that is interesting here is the message. So if this thing is failing, it's going to create an issue with this message. Yeah, so the other example is pretty much how I used it. So I'm just going to, here they check if value.length is not equals to new set value.size. So they add an issue with Zod issue code of custom, and then just a message. So you'll see in the moment how I created these custom validations. But first of all, let's try to actually play with our form and let's see if we have the basic validations and try to submit to see our values at the moment. So let's go over here and let's check. Okay, cool. So we already have the validations. So what I want to do now, let's go real quick over here. And in the on submit, I just want for now to, yeah, actually the form is going to pass. So I guess that I can just use it as it is. So let's copy this. Oh, why it's not working? Control C, Control V. Yeah, this is strange. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's pass something over here. 10, 10, 90, 90, accept, and great. So we have the values, and of course, we don't have now all the advanced validations. So for example, I can probably pass it as false. Yeah, and I can pass the date, and of course the passwords don't have to be matched. So this is also possible. And now we're going to use this custom refine, and we're going to write our custom advanced validations. All right, so here is our super refined validations. So let's go through it. So as you can see, I'm using super refine on the object itself. That means that I have access to all the fields that are inside it. So I can destructure all the fields, basically all the values from here in the first argument. And here we have the context, which is going to be useful for creating the issues. All right, so our first check is if password is not equals to confirm password, we create a new issue with custom code and message passwords do not match. And here what I did is I used path to actually to place the errors in the right place. So in this case, I want to place this error in the confirm password field. So in the material UI, it will be shown under the confirm password component. So the next thing, if terms and conditions is not equals true, I want to add an issue and I want to say you have to accept terms and conditions. Pretty straightforward. Now let's look at the birthday. So birthday, what I'm doing here is I'm checking if birthday, first of all. So I'm creating the date of now, basically, with new date, and I'm assigning it to now. And I want to get the time of now minus 18 years old. So I'm basically checking now minus 18 years old. And this is now.getTime, which is going to actually give me the time in milliseconds. So I'm going to receive a number like this, and I want to remove 18 years old from now, and I want to check is valid age is going to be birthday.getTime. So basically the birthday that we received from the user, if it's less than now minus 18 years old. So this is our check, is valid age. So first of all, we have the possibility that the user is going to send us a wrong format. So if I see that birthday.getTime is not going to be a number, then I'm creating an issue. It's going to be not a valid date, and I'm going to use a path of birthday, of course. And if the age is not valid, so is valid age, if it's false, I want to create an issue and say message have to be at least 18 years old. So yeah, so this is the age custom validations. And now let's go back to our index. And for some strange reason, I see that I still have this error with the birthday. So it says type undefined is not assignable to type date. So anyways, we can, I think we can start testing our form already. Yeah, so this error is still not gone. Yeah, but let's try to test it and figure out in a moment why it's actually happening. So let's try to pass all the validations. So test and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The password should not match. Now let's send something that is younger than 18 years old. So let's say 2020 and gender and accept. Have to be at least 18 years old. Cool. Now, if I delete this thing, you can see that I'm still getting to the advanced validations, but now I'm getting not a valid date because the format is I'm sending is not valid. So if I console log this thing before I transform it, so let's go to the schema for a second and I want to show you. Here we get the value from the user. And if I do instead of this, if I do something like log and let's log the value over here. So I want to show you what do I get from the user. So inspect and let's open the console and zoom it a little bit. All right, so let's refresh. Let's fill this form and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now let's say 1, 1, 2000. And let's choose a gender and accept. And look at what the user is getting. So 1, 1, 2000. So this is something that I can transform to a date. But if I send something that I cannot transform to a date, I want to receive an error like this, not a valid date. So we can return this thing to new date with the value. And now let's actually check what is going on here. So property birthday, not assignable to type date. So what can we do is let's try to say or set dot undefined maybe. Should it fix the issue? Defined is not assignable to type string, but actually I'm saying that it can be undefined. This is strange. So for some weird reason, it complains the date is not, birthday is not type of date, which I actually specify to be string, and I don't want to deal with this at the moment. Maybe it's some strange bug that they have, and I'm just spinning my wheels for nothing because in the previous project it worked, and maybe it's a different version of Zod or something. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I very much was impressed with this library. I like that it supports TypeScript very well, and probably I will use it in the future instead of YAP, which is what I use at work at the moment. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed. If you like it, please like the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys, and thank you for watching.